All right, guys, welcome to 3MFAers. I'm here with my buddy Caleb and Josh. How you guys doing today?
What's up? Doing all right?
Caleb, don't
wave.
Caleb, don't wave. That's not helpful. We're not doing video. Don't wave.
What do you mean? They can't see us? I thought we were on YouTube.
We are on YouTube.
No, not yet.
But not fully, just with our voices. So you have to wave with your voice.
All right.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt Josh. Let's go again. Josh, how you doing?
All right, let's start over.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. Josh, how are you doing?
Jesus Christ. Okay.
Don't let us talk over you. You got to stand up for yourself.
You're right. This is high school all over again. Oh my god. Stand up for yourself,
Clearly,
Josh.
like the biggest one out of all of us. Being like, I'm sorry.
I don't want to take up space. I'm sorry. Okay. I'm doing okay.
Pride Month, baby. This is your month.
Yeah, baby. Pride's tomorrow. So I'm doing great. It's a Saturday. I'm having my coffee with you guys, so I'm happy. Caleb, to your point, it's interesting because this is the first Pride weekend that I haven't had to work at the bar. So I've completely
true.
It'll be 6 years on Wednesday that I've been in the city, and I've always worked at a gay bar during Pride weekend. It's my money maker.
You make that money.
I make a month's rent in 2 days. It's crazy, but
fuck, man, that sounds awesome. I want to do that.
It's not as awesome as you think when you're working 12 hours at a crowded bar with drunk people.
That's fair.
But
that's fair.
My sense of time, like, you could always tell when you're leading up to Pride because it gets busier and busier and busier, and it's like on your mind, right? Because of the quarantine and because of the opening phases, and we're in phase 3 in New York, and we still haven't talked about we're opening up our bar. Taking it slow.
How the fuck are you guys in phase 3?
We take every 2 weeks, every 3 weeks, or De Blasio or Cuomo or whatever is doing one phase, 2 weeks to see how it goes. Phase 2, see how it goes. And we just started phase 3 on Monday. So that's, playgrounds and
wild shit.
Some indoor seating, I guess. I don't know. But anyway, so it's just really interesting to not have that on my mind. And usually I would be like, respect your bar staff. Don't go crazy. It's going to be a line. And now it's like, respect other people. Wear a mask. Don't be stupid. You know what I mean? And like, happy Pride Month. So it is interesting. It's really funny. I was thinking about it this morning that last year was World Pride in New York, which is like the craziest, like pinnacle of Pride weekend. It was a whole week. There's 8 million extra people in the city to Pride being canceled, so it's extreme after extreme. So
yeah, I mean,
otherwise
it's
I'm
the
great.
same in Toronto. Pride Festival is always a massive thing every year. And then obviously, they actually kind of used that originally as when the pandemic first started and nobody knew what was shutting down or how long it was going to be.
Yeah.
The first thing they kind of canceled to like show the longevity of this was Pride. Because that was already like June 30th or something.
Right.
So they were like, we have to cancel all events until like at least down here. Everybody was like, whoa, shit, all right.
And did you see us complain? Maybe inside in our rooms, but not.
I feel like I definitely did. Which is fair. I don't blame you guys. I mean, there was definitely that like very vocal minority of people that were like, "See, God is canceling gay people."
Jesus Christ!
Wow.
I was like, "Oh my God, people are so unhinged from reality."
I can't.
It's like, what the fuck, man?
But I'm sorry, Josh. It is a bummer because Pride is always just really fun. And if it's a good way to make money, then that's even better.
Yeah,
but you gotta enjoy not, working 48 hours straight.
Hey, I went to bed at
Right?
1 a.m. on a Friday night. Like I'm enjoying this. It's gonna suck when I finally go back and have to close on a Saturday. So that's staying up until 4 or 5 a.m. And I'm like, oh God. But
oh right, New York Times. I always forget.
Yeah.
That being said, man, I do feel like whenever it'd be like 3 a.m. in New York and I'd be out doing whatever, everything would be fucking closed every time for 4 years. I'd be like, I want to go get food at 4 a.m.
Jeremy's.
No, everything was closed.
I don't know.
City,
like you come back up to.
We're not just talking about Jeremy's. All right.
Come up to Chelsea and things are open.
That was the circuit. That was Jeremy's until like 1, and they were like, "Get the fuck out of here! I want to go to bed." And then we go to the Irish American until 4.
Well, that was the weirdest part about Jeremy's is they just closed at random times based on when those dudes wanted to pack up, which is kind of amazing. But sometimes it'd be like 11:45 and they'd be like, all right, guys, that's it. We're wrapping up. Last call. And you'd be like, what the fuck is happening? But all right, let's do it. I don't know, I love those guys though.
I feel like they're not that good. Do you know what I mean? I look at Jeremy's and I'm like, you guys haven't earned this.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah. But
we got fucking mega rats chilling out in your kitchen. Like, you don't get to say when you close. Yeah, I want French fries.
We weren't.
Dude,
I guess we haven't been there. We were there for 3 years and they've been there for, I don't know, maybe other people who aren't MFA college students know better.
Yeah, we also weren't. For context, for people listening, Jeremy's is a bar in the Seaport on Manhattan that has like bras hanging from the ceiling, like one half bathroom. It's fucking a magical place that we decided we would go.
Yeah, like an 18-ounce like styrofoam cup filled with like beer for what was it, $6?
Yeah,
which is outrageous prices, and we were all broke as shit. So that was the place. But yeah, hilarious hours and huge New York Rangers fans, by the way, the owners of that. So I got into many deep conversations and arguments about the Rangers versus the Leafs.
Wow.
So that was always fun.
Look at you go.
Hockey.
Well, as soon as they found out I was from Toronto, it was all hockey all the time. Which I'm down for. I'm here for it, you know?
Totally. How are you guys doing?
Good actually. Auditions are opening back up. Things are starting again in Toronto, which is nice. Like filming is back open, so we're getting back into it. So it's just been trying to get all the motors going. Talking to my agent, getting things back up and going. What else? Oh, had a nice little commercial audition the other day.
Oh, fun!
Sound like the NDAs and all that, but we'll see. It'll be a fun one. But things are getting more fun audition-wise. I'm realizing. Like, I don't know if you guys are seeing this, but as scripts come in now, especially right now, there's a lot of stuff that they still want to do, like through Zoom or whatever. So it's all these different scenarios and situations, and it's just like there's something about doing an audition that's like supposed to look like Zoom that just makes it very easy and very fun. And like there's a certain it's just a different thing that I've been enjoying a lot. So
that is interesting. I'm interested to see what those come out as. As sure Caleb and I, like, the only reason our little play festival worked is because we specifically wrote the situation to be on Zoom. Otherwise it doesn't.
Right.
It can't read, so that's fun if they're making commercials through Zoom.
Yeah. I mean, I'm hoping that the bigger auditions and things start opening up again soon. We get back to all of that, but who knows when any actual productions are going to be able to start going back, There's kind of all the in-between productions that aren't $100 million productions and aren't super cheap that are going to be in a tough spot to like when to go back to series shooting and things like that, right?
Right. So, well, I'm just waiting for the period of time where it's not before COVID, because things are still coming out and being released that were obviously filmed before quarantine.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm interested to see when that cliff is, or that cutoff where you kind of just stop seeing things come out for a while.
Yeah.
I don't think that will happen for film because they've like pushed back so many releases.
Oh, okay.
I think where we're going to see that is on TV.
Yeah.
Like, I think there's going to be a fucking drought next year of new television because nobody's filming. And like, it's really hard to lock that in because there's so many different factors on TV. With like film, we already have a backlog of stuff that was supposed to come out.
Oh, sure.
That is just going to come out later. It'll be like sparse, but I think like we'll still get a steady stream of stuff. Like Brandon, this is for you. Sorry, Josh, for a second. But the last Evangelion movie was supposed to come out today.
No,
and they delayed it.
4.4.
Yeah, 4.4.
Okay.
And they delayed it for who knows, and we might never get it. I've been waiting 20 goddamn years.
No. It's obviously the movie is done, so it's not we're never getting it. They just want
I don't know,
maximum
dude.
Release.
It's exactly his. It's exactly the Master Anno style. Just be like, never mind. Oh, wait, another 10 years.
Okay. So one, I was actually going to bring this up because I watched 1.0, right?
Mm-hmm.
When I first gotten back pre-pandemic, I watched through the entire series again. We talked about this. But then I watched 1.0 and I was like, that's fucking amazing. And then you have 2.0 still in New York.
Yeah.
So I can't find it anywhere. You cannot find it online. I have Funimation. I have Crunchyroll. I have everything. On top of that,
Really?
I'm more than happy just to go watch it and steal it. Nowhere. It is nowhere to be found. You can't find them.
That's
you can't
insane.
even buy it. You can't buy it to watch. Like, the only option is to buy the DVD and have it sent to you.
Yeah.
Which, like, we're talking
is
about
why I
an
have the
anime movie.
Blu-ray.
How is this possible?
That seems strange that it's not online anywhere.
It's not anywhere, man.
That's bizarre. It's great. That's my favorite one.
That's
And
what
then
I'm- well, isn't that where everything goes, like, wayward? Like, that's where everything changes, right?
yeah, it starts to really like go off the rails.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
And-
I need to see that.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm surprised that you can't like get it on like Amazon or Google or something.
Dude, I've been surprised too. I would have thought that for sure it would just be whatever, a $4.99 rental download on it's just not there. They didn't put it out. So,
damn.
yeah.
I'm sorry.
I'm so
It's-
sorry, Brandon and
it's-
Caleb. I'm very
No,
sorry.
No,
All
it's
right,
just,
sorry, Josh. All right, sorry, Josh.
No, I'm interested. Like, what? Clearly state the title so I can look this up.
it's Neon
Okay.
Genesis Evangelion, and if you haven't watched it, you need to. It's I would say it's one of the core animes. I also don't know what the fuck I'm talking about, so I'm gonna hand it over to Caleb.
I'm the resident weeb. No, it's like it's what I would say it's one of the most famous like animes in the West. It's very influential. It started out as this like 26 episode show. It's like notorious for about halfway through the show's run, like really drastically changing tones because the creator was suffering through like a heavy depression. And so what started out as this like fun show about like robots fighting off aliens becomes this like psychological trip through depression and it goes like very abstract and becomes kind of experimental at the end, and it's great.
It's very hard to explain the end without being like,
yeah, you kind of
ruining
have
everything.
to.
No
you kinda have
pressure,
to
no
go
pressure.
fucking weird.
But they've been redoing the series in film. They've been kind of remaking it and readapting it and retelling the story, and they've been doing that for like almost 20 years at this point. Like I've been waiting for the last movie. They just keep getting delayed or they keep, whatever happens. And the last one, the end of the story, was supposed to be released today. And then a couple months back, they had announced that it wasn't going to happen because of COVID.
Aw.
And
I'm sorry,
it's
guys.
going to be assumedly a very different ending because they've gone and like totally changed the story halfway through. So it's very interesting. But on a note that you will appreciate, Josh, did you guys hear about Michael Keaton coming back for Batman?
I did
which
hear
I'm very
that,
excited
yeah.
about. And if we do not get a Batman Beyond, I'm going to freak out. I swear to God, you don't get Michael Keaton and you don't make him not do Batman Beyond. Do Batman Beyond. I want to see me some Terry McGinnis. I want it all. I want to see all of it. I'm going to freak out if we don't get it.
Weren't they saying that like but we're pretty much assuming he's going to be Old Man Bruce, right? Cause like the Flashpoint,
Yeah. Yeah. And then I assumed, I had heard that Jeffrey Dean Morgan was going to come back and play Thomas Wayne again and do, Thomas Wayne Batman. And now I'm seeing a lot of conflicting reports. So
Yeah,
who
I was
knows?
going to say, I read that he's not doing that anymore.
Yeah. But 2 days ago, I had read that they'd already done the costume test for it. So who knows? I'm seeing a new thing every day, but I hope that happens. I hope the Batman Beyond thing happens. I want it all.
They just got to find the right young Asian actor for Terry McGinnis.
There you go.
We used to So what's happening here is me and Caleb used to argue about Terry McGinnis in the show because
Batman Beyond,
he definitely
right? The
looks,
cartoon.
Yeah, Batman Beyond.
Batman
He looks like an Asian character, but it's hard to tell. Now, by the way, I would hope that they do go that way. Honestly, there's just no reason for Terry McGinnis to be a white dude. There's just no
Except
reason
for the
for
fact that he's got the most Irish name of all time.
Well, yeah, but also even in
no,
that,
I'm obviously being
was the-
facetious.
Well, yeah, but that's the whole, his mom and dad thing. And obviously it's just a little, whatever, we didn't do any research on it as we should have and take 2 seconds to see what his mom's last name was. But, It just, if you're going to do a live action movie at this point, you literally have Robert Pattinson about to play Bruce. There's no, you know what I mean? Like,
no, I was just making a joke.
No, 100%. 100%. Yeah, you know who I really like and would be good at that role, and it's a very weird pick. I don't know if you've watched the show Titans at all. I don't think that you have, but the kid who plays Beast Boy, he, before getting Beast Boy, had put a whole video out online trying to get the role of Tim Drake. And he put out this like amazing martial arts fighting choreography thing that he had done, bow staff, the whole thing. And that kind of turned into him ending up being Beast Boy on Titans. I'd love to see that kid get a shot at Terry McGinnis down the line. I think he'd be great at it.
How tall is the kid?
I
feel like Batman Beyond has to be at least like 5'10", 6 foot.
I would guess that he's around my height, which is about that. I'm not sure though, because who knows? It's TV. So it's hard to tell.
Right. It's always medium shots. It's always chest up. So you really don't know.
Yeah, it can be whatever you want.
I will have to. How are you, Caleb? I know we haven't really. You're doing okay. You're bummed about the anime. I'm sorry to bring that back up. Tear open that scab.
I'm just getting over food poisoning. But
I was wondering how Caleb is, and I think because I thought we were talking about anime stuff, but
yeah, that's all I care about. I'm fine otherwise.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. Also, but speaking of mental health state and the artists, Broadway isn't scheduled to be back until January 3rd now. Like, they are out of work for the rest of the year, which at this point, you know, there was a thing I read the other day with, like, if your artist friends or theater, like, friends are getting a little, like, antsy or depressed or whatever, like, give them time, because it's not quite that simple that, you know, everybody else can go back to work who has either been working online at home. Like people who work in the live theater, they are now getting word that they're not going to be able to go back to work until January, you know, and that's really hard to hear, and that there's going to be phases of depression and things like that. Like, you know, and so my heart goes out to all of them, all you guys out there.
Well, and then you couple that up with the fact that there's never a guarantee of work in the first place.
I think if you're a Broadway
so it's
actor
like
and you're in this situation, obviously it sucks. You do have an opportunity though, right? Your contracts are up for the meantime until January. You're not going back. You're a Broadway actor, so you're, you know, a certain level. You do have an opportunity to try to find a film to go do for 3 months or whatever, which isn't great. Obviously it's not, if you're a Broadway actor, you that's been your goal. You've got there. You'd want to be doing that.
Yeah.
But, you know, you do have a little bit of an opportunity, you know, to find something else. Obviously it's not fun just given the whole situation, and that's not easy either, but you got to imagine that, you know, their agents are picking up the phone right now being like, hey, they're off until January.
You know, I hope so, because we're also, like you said, you know, New York, LA, I don't know what principal filming has started, you know, if any. So, it's kind of like my roommate. He just got his first break at the Met in Porgy and Bess last fall and this winter. And you know, he finally got that goal. He hit that, you know, he got through that ceiling, and then this happened. So he doesn't know when the Met's going to be open, when he's going to be singing again. So he's kind of doing the online class stuff. He's getting his certification so he can actually find
that's tough.
work, you know, but in the meantime, and it's all, yeah, so
dope.
It's, you know, I feel for him so bad, you know.
Did you go see him perform when he
I did. We went. Ryan and I went opening night, so it was real fun. Yeah,
that's amazing. He's such a nice guy.
Yeah, he's a hard worker, but we're all just we actually just started playing. We got Ryan to download Mario Kart 8 on the Switch, and we bought 2 controllers, so that's all we did yesterday was play Mario Kart. Because I was getting tired of getting my ass kicked by that Valkyrie Queen on God of War.
Amazing.
Literally an hour and a half of me just getting my shit rocked. And the frustrating thing is that it's like a 16 bubble bar thing, and I can get her down to like 2, maybe 1 if I'm lucky, and then she just does something because all of her moves are random, infinitely random, and you have to. It all is sheer luck with your dodge roll, but yeah, it's just really frustrating. I spent a couple hours now trying to do that, but it's all right. Kratos will survive.
When we talked about God of War last time, I meant to bring this up, and just really quickly, I forgot. when I was in high school, we had an English class that was like a creative writing assignment that you had like the whole semester to write this like really long creative writing story. And one of my buddies, he like waited until the last minute and didn't do it. And then he was like, fuck, this is due in like 2 days. So all he did was he went to Wikipedia and copy pasted the God of War, like all of the God of War plot synopsises, combined them and just like reversed the names. So it became like the legend. It became the Legend of Sartok.
I love that.
And or Satork or whatever, or however it would be. And then like the teacher was like, "This is brilliant. You've clearly been inspired by Greek mythology." And just thought God. It was like the best thing ever.
Wow.
And I've always thought that was an incredible story. I like sit here and like I'm trying to be like a writer, and then my buddy can just be like, this, and then he's like, brilliant.
And also, if you're just gonna write, an old story out, it's always gonna go well. Like, did you guys have AP exams at all? Did you take any AP classes in high school?
Yeah, I did calculus.
So one of them that I did was AP Human Geography. And the teacher was great, super cool guy, and we got to the final exam, and it turned out that the 3 questions, all of them were on American geography. So I'm sitting there, and I can't leave for 3 hours. I'm 18, so I'm very out of it that morning, and I'm sitting there being like, okay, this exam doesn't matter to me. I'm gonna get a 0 anyway. So I proceed to write the entirety of the first Star Wars movies down as plot, like writing over the questions and just continuing writing the plot of Star Wars because I was bored. And so it goes on for like 7 or 8 pages. I finish up with like, I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope this was more fun than whatever bullshit answers I would have given. Years later, my brother's in the same class, and the teacher is like, yeah, whatever you do, if you think you're gonna fail, don't just write random bullshit like Star Wars, because then I get in trouble. And he comes home and starts telling us all this, and I'm dying, being like, oh, shit.
Your legacy lives on.
Yeah. That's really funny. Human Geography. I didn't know that was a class you could take. And then, but then they only asked about American. What were do you remember what the questions were? I'm so curious.
I remember one of them, and it was something about like the migration patterns of Amish people in southern United States over, from like 1930 or whatever, 1950 to 1970 or some shit. And I was like, I have no idea. I can tell you where Alberta is. Does that help?
Do you feel that everything that's gone wrong in your life since then can be traced back to that moment? Of not doing well.
Everything that's gone right in my life can be traced back to that moment.
All right, that's fair.
You know what? Fuck this. And then, we went to acting school, so just...
so clearly it worked out.
Yeah, Hey, whatever.
Speaking of clearly working out, Brandon, the emancipation of Harley Quinn.
Birds of Prey and the fantabulous emancipation of one Harley Quinn.
Okay. Yeah, so that's the movie that we watched this week. I chose it because I'd seen it in theaters. I enjoyed it. I don't know. I liked how it was shot. I thought it was fun. Yeah, I don't know. It just was a fun movie for me. I liked a lot of the shots. I liked how they tried to do different things. I like the uniqueness of it. There's a lot of shots and things like that inspired me and things that I would like to do, or how I would like to shoot a movie and that type of thing. So if I'm honest, watching it was not this like, oh, this is a perfect movie, or I love this or this. It was just seeing a lot of things that I liked and I thought were really cool that they tried. You know what I mean? That's where I was coming from with it. Like, it inspired me in a lot of ways to try new things and try to write in a different way or picture scenes in a different way. And yeah, so that's where I was coming from. Also, Ewan McGregor was just, what a wild performance that was. He was just having fun with it. He's just giving her. But yeah, no. So that's my perspective on it. I enjoyed it and I got inspired by it, which is why I picked it.
I definitely liked it the second time watching it. I think more so than the first time in the theaters. I'm a little on the board with Brandon, where you could tell it's a comic book movie, and they definitely treated it as such. Like, they didn't take themselves seriously. At least I didn't think they did, because Harley Quinn as a character, I feel, is a little sporadic and stuff. Some of the side characters, I wasn't, it wasn't 10 out of 10 on some of the other characters, but I think Margot Robbie, spot on with the Harley Quinn. I've always liked her. And I was really happy that she got an opportunity to kind of like, use a bat and a mallet instead of a gun. You know what I mean? Like, just like things like that. It was fun. I loved the color of it. I loved how it was shot. I loved the soundtrack was cool. It just kind of fit.
Right. Yeah.
And it was a nice little thing after Suicide Squad and how that ended. So, yeah.
All right, Caleb, let's hear your shitty opinion.
My shitty opinion? My opinions are great.
Wait, did you go in with an open mind or no?
Negative.
It's like, it's really hard to go in like completely. You know what I mean?
That's
like
fair.
It's not like
totally.
I can't be like, what's this movie? Like I can't go in with like no information.
Yeah, and I just want to make myself clear. I only said shitty opinion because Caleb messaged us before the podcast being like 2 stars.
Hey, it's better than Dark Tower.
Yeah.
Better than Dark Tower, and that's all I can.
I will admit that it was not as bad as Suicide Squad. So I guess that's a small victory for the DC. Because like Suicide Squad is just like such an incomprehensible mess of like everything. Like that movie did nothing right. And I see what you mean, Brandon.
It's like a Chopped and Screwed song,
Yeah, it's like yeah. And I see what you mean when you were like, it's like a better version of that because it's like a similar aesthetic but done, I guess, more effectively, marginally. I don't know. I thought it was really obnoxious and annoying, and wait,
let's get into that. What was obnoxious and annoying? Because I am very interested, especially because I know when you watch a movie, you definitely look at it too. Like you look at the writing, you look at the story structure, you look at the pacing of it. Those are things that hit you right away, not things that I pick up on. Which is,
you want to talk about story structure? One of the most annoying things I've ever seen in a movie was like Harley Quinn being like, "Oh, you don't know who that person is. I guess we got to go back in time and like I can tell the story however I want." And if this wasn't like a thing that we were doing a podcast on, I would have shut it off in 20 minutes.
Okay,
been like,
all right, that's
okay.
very
So
interesting.
you didn't like the episodic, like the forced kind of, because I'm crazy, I'm gonna like tell the story in a random way, but then oh shit, you have to, because it's a movie and I'm trying to bring you guys along, I have to catch you guys up. That didn't work for you, is what you're saying.
No, it did not work for me.
Okay.
So as a writer, does that feel like, does that feel cheap to you? Is that what it is? Like, does that feel like an easy way to structure it, or what? Just like, it just seems easy or like cheap or what?
It feels pointless. Like I don't understand this. It doesn't feel like a choice, like a dramatic choice. It's not like something that was born out of like we can like I don't know how to explain it. It just felt like lazy. It kind of what you were saying, Josh. Like, oh, she's crazy, which is something that I really, by the way, and we'll get into this later. I hope. I disagree with the characterization of Harley Quinn as like she's just fucking insane, so she does whatever she wants and she's a psycho. In my opinion, I feel like that's not, whatever. But to use that as an excuse to just be like, and then this scene, and then this scene, and it's like, and just the fucking narration. There was no, I feel like for the first, this movie's like under 2 hours long, but I feel like for the first hour and change, there's not like 3 seconds to breathe in between like annoying narration or some pop song, or like it's just assaulting you with all of this like color and this bad editing and this annoying like cacophony of sound. Like it's just aggravating. I was annoyed. I was really fucking annoyed. And I understand that they're going for a very specific style and they want to appear frenetic, but it just didn't work for me really at all. It was very obnoxious. It felt obnoxious. That's the best word I can come up with.
That's very fair. I definitely understand that perspective, especially like when you're talking about the narration and the way you're breaking it up like that. It's like, I've told you the story a bunch of times, Caleb, and Josh, I've definitely told you the story too. But there was a night years ago, I went to see the Front Page, I want to say. Well, it was like a Broadway show, like John Slattery, John Goodman, a bunch of people. and we're sitting down, and we're in the second row, like middle. This guy walks in and steps on my mom's foot and sits down beside her, and is so nice to her, by the way. But it's Aaron Sorkin. And halfway through the show, he gets up and leaves because it's like nails on a chalkboard for him. Like, you can see it. It's excruciating for him to be there. And he gets up halfway through and leaves, like, very politely. But I imagine that's what it was like for you watching this movie. It's
I
like
mean,
that look of
I don't
pain.
want it. I don't want the narrative to be like, I'm a writer, so like it's not that. It's just like, I genuinely don't understand how people can like something so obnoxious. It's exhausting, and there's no cohesion to it. It seems tonally like it seems like scene to scene they didn't know what they were going for, so they just were trying to do all of these things and seeing what sticks. In the same way that, like, you know, Suicide Squad has that issue, and I think it's exacerbated by the fact that not only are there way more characters that they have to keep track of, but also there are literally like 3 different cuts of that movie that they just like mash together. You know, that has different problems, but it feels like they didn't learn the right lessons. Do you know what I mean? From Suicide Squad's failure.
I would like to just say that, like, I hear what you say tonally, but I think where you get that is when you centralize on, like, Black Canary or Huntress and things like that. Like, I think the scenes with Harley Quinn, with her in the police sink when she was trying to break out the pickpocket, I think the thing in the funhouse at the end, like when it was like even her getting the fucking breakfast sandwich at the very beginning, and just like, I think why I didn't mind it so much is because I seemed like the strongest character was Harley Quinn. Like, it was a Harley Quinn movie, but they decided to bring in the Birds of Prey, which I didn't really get. I didn't really like the Renee character that they tried to.
Her accent was so fucking annoying.
I didn't like her.
Yeah,
Huntress
but that's just
was
Rosie Perez. Like, that's not an accent. That's just how Rosie Perez talks.
No, that's not how she talks, Brandon. She was doing an affectation of, like, the whole thing. When she gets introduced.
Is that not the exact same voice she's doing in Pineapple Express the entire time?
Harley Quinn is like, she's like an 80s detective. Like, you know, it's like an exaggerated, you know, performance.
I got a soft spot for Rosie Perez, though. So I feel ya, but everything she says, I'm like, you're the best.
I don't think that any of these people are bad, but it's like, you know, these characters are just so poorly, like, underwritten. You know? Well,
yeah. I mean, they couldn't just fill an hour and a half of just Harley Quinn. They had to bring it to like a broader sense. They brought in, you know, Huntress and Black Canary and Renee, the detective, and at the end they all kind of became, you know, the Birds of Prey, and she kind of still just did what she does. And I thought maybe that's kind of where it did kind of feel for me where a little bit of an undertone of like, okay, let's just get back to Harley Quinn because I love it when she comes in. You know, I love the scenes for her because I just Margot. I thought, you know, I can't praise her enough for the characterization of Harley Quinn in a movie, down to like the hyena. But I even think the hyena, like, wasn't there 2? Isn't there originally 2 in the cartoon or the comics?
Yeah.
There's 2, but they only had the budget for 1. I guess, I don't know, but.
That hyena was fake as shit, by the way.
Sure. Like,
fuck that. CGI. When I like smiled and laughed, I was like, oh my god.
But that beaver looked real. Really real.
That beaver. No, I definitely agree with all that. It's interesting when you take from those perspectives, you know? Because I did enjoy it. You know, but even watching it the second time, I did realize, like, with the time jumps and stuff, the second time around watching it, there was a moment where I was like, did we miss something here? You know? And then they like jump back. I'm like, okay, cool. But that being said, there's a couple people who acting wise I was super impressed with. The guy who plays Victor Zsasz, who I've only ever seen play like a CEO and stuff before. Like, he was one of the CEOs in the newsroom. I thought he did a fucking phenomenal job. And then I thought, what do you guys think about Ewan McGregor? I want to hear about that. Because obviously Margot Robbie did a fantastic job as Harley Quinn. Like, take everything else away, she's a great Harley Quinn. She's always going to be a fantastic Harley Quinn.
Ewan McGregor, for me, he looked like an actor just having fun, right? It like I had to look up who Black Mask was just because I was like, I don't quite remember him, but he is he's on the level of like So
There's
like
a
he
big
works with
character.
Penguin a lot, yeah, and he's just this crime boss that tortures people and whatever. So I get it, and actually for me, after researching that, I was like, okay, cool. This would be a good fit for a movie like this, right? I mean, you don't have any of the major like what people think of Batman villains. You have kind of like A-, B+ villain that fits very well with Harley Quinn, who's just kind of a side character anyway to the Joker. You know what I mean? So I think structurally that all kind of fits. But in terms of his characterization and stuff, I thought some of it could be a little gratuitous and kind of campy, but like especially with him after he like defaces like that family or whatever, and he's like, "Is that a snot bubble? Ew, never mind. Take her face off." You know, it's a little silly, but you know, I think by the end of it, you kind of was like, "Okay, cool. This guy's like, you know."
Yeah. But I agree. It very much seemed like an actor who's just having a great time.
Yeah.
And then there's that one scene at the nightclub that got super, super, super serious and was super fucking creepy.
When he made that woman dance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like, that was one of those moments where you're like, Jesus Christ. Okay.
Yeah, the guy's
that's
psycho.
like a different level of acting all the way around. It was just like such a heavy scene. I was like, holy shit. God damn. I'm uncomfortable.
Felt kind of cringy to me, honestly. Like,
no, it was a little much.
I don't want to say that Ewan McGregor, I think the other guy's name is Chris Messina or Messina. I don't know how to pronounce it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they necessarily did like a bad job. I don't think Harley or Margot Robbie did like a bad job, but just like, it just felt like they were like, all right, how do we make the audience know that he's really fucked up? Like, he's just so, he's like so crazy. Maybe if they had, if they tattooed damaged on his forehead, that would have been a nice little visual cue.
I'm sorry, I can't hear damaged without singing Danity Kane in my head. Cause my heart is damaged.
Well, no, that was a joke because that's what they did for the Jared Leto Joker, and it was the worst decision that anyone's ever made in a movie. I felt that it was too much, and I thought, like, I don't know. I see what they were going for. Like, it's just everybody wants to be the Joker. Like, everybody wants to strike that balance of like goofy, campy, like kind of like fun, intimidating, like using like psychosis as a way of being menacing. And I don't think that I don't think that you're ever gonna get that lightning in a bottle again, like you did with Heath, in terms of having that dark tone while still it's like impossible. It's very difficult to do. And I think that, God bless Ewan McGregor, he did his very best, and yet, like we're saying, he clearly had fun, and I'm glad everybody had fun making the movie. But I'm just sitting here, and it's like, Jesus Christ, like, enough. Like, I'm so tired. I'm so bored of this. It didn't work for me. But if it worked for you guys, that's great.
But it's not, here's the thing, and this is what, I'm trying to express. It definitely wasn't a perfect movie. There's just a lot of elements in it that I hadn't seen before. They're trying new things, and that inspired me. You know what I mean?
That's why, like, what do you think was a new thing they were doing? Like, what do you mean?
There was a lot of things the first time around watching it where, I think also I had just come from watching After Hours, the Scorsese film.
Mm-hmm.
And so we've had a couple conversations about this, but my headspace at the time and even now is very much in this, headspace of how to write and produce this kind of one night adventure type thing. So watching her Harley Quinn, the stylized narrations, the way they're jumping back and forth through the story, being tied in with the music and a lot of the ways that they edited and stuff. I don't know. It just opened up different ideas of how to do it. My one major gripe with the movie is a character thing too, by the way. And this is just coming from me being like a super nerd in the Batman world, but Cassandra Cain, which is like the little girl, that steals
terrible,
the jewel.
By the way. I fucking hate, she was so bad.
The character infuriated me because Cassandra Cain in the comics books is Batwoman, or is Batgirl. Like, ends up being a Batgirl and is like utter badass. When they find her, she's mute. She doesn't talk, but she like speaks through Like, that's the only thing she knows how to do is fight. It's this whole wonderful story that has just been completely cut out and destroyed. And now Cassandra Cain is a random little girl who's with Harley Quinn. And like, she's like a super assassin trained by like the best assassins. It's this whole fantastic arc, and that's just gone now, and I'm upset by it.
But my question is, though, are there multiple versions of Cassandra Cain in terms of because
now
there is now different versions because I actually looked up all these different, the Bertinelli, right? Like, I looked up Huntress, and the Huntress that they used, the version of her, is like pre New 52, like after in Crisis on Infinite Earths, because before Crisis on Infinite Earths back in the 80s, Huntress was the daughter in one of the worlds, I think it was like Earth 2 or something like that, was
Bruce
daughter of
Catwoman
and Batman, and so it's just interesting that I did do my, I kind of was peeking through things while the movie was going on, and the names that do absolutely appear in the Batman the Batman universe, like in terms of the comic books and stuff. But I just didn't know if there was like a Cassandra Cain at some point who was a pickpocket back in like the 70s or 80s or something. Who knows? On like Earth Prime, I don't know.
It could be for sure, but the one that I'm aware of has always been, ends up being a Batgirl.
Gotcha.
And she's the one, I don't know if you've ever seen it, but it's a full Batgirl suit, and the mask is almost like stitched. Like, there's no mask. It's kind of like stitched. That's Cassandra Cain, Batgirl, and she's just such a great character.
Okay.
And it's a great arc. She opens up. She learns to like trust people and speak because she's immune to beginning. So that really pissed me off because it's a really good character, and it's like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Isn't Huntress in Young Justice, Brandon? Isn't that like isn't she, or is that a different character am I thinking of?
No. I mean, Huntress is in, she was in the Justice League shows, for sure. She pops up, remember, with the Question?
But who's the girl then in Young Justice? That shows up, she's the spy. She becomes Tigress later, or is she Tigress in the beginning?
Oh, yeah, it's Artemis.
Sorry. Okay, never mind. Never mind.
Yeah,
sorry,
you're totally right, though. You're totally right, though. So similar.
Well, there's that. I mean, DC's kind of bad for that. They have like a bunch of characters that kind of do the same thing.
Oh yeah.
I guess Marvel does too. But I feel like it's more egregious in DC.
Yo, you have two Kid Flashes named Wally West.
Yeah.
Right. One black, one white.
Yeah. Well, now they've changed it to Wally and Wallace, but that doesn't really help.
It's Wally and Wally. Come on. Let's not.
What does Wallace West look like?
I would love to see a movie after Flashpoint Paradox called The Flashes: A Tale of Two Wallies, and I would watch the shit out of that.
Sounds great.
Yeah, that'd be great.
That being said, I'd really like to be White Wally, but whatever.
Okay. I did. How about, speaking of Huntress though, that jacket at the end, like whoever designed her costume at the very end, like I was here for like kind of what she did on herself and like the little crossbow and stuff, and the jokes. Oh, I like your bow and arrow. It's a crossbow. Like it was cute. It was tongue in cheek. But then when they were fighting at the end, and she comes in with this like, I mean, you could have done better. I mean, they could have done better. Yeah.
And the weirdest part is they made it look like her costume, like the Huntress costume from the show, but it was, as opposed to making it a costume, it was like, hey, here's a tracksuit.
Right, exactly. And here's the classic purple cross on it. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, you just told us that she just stole back $400 million.
Yeah,
so
she has a lot of money. Yeah. And she went to Party City and she got her jacket.
Mary Elizabeth Winstead was one of the only people to make me like chuckle at all. I thought that she was funny.
The ongoing her trying to tell her little story and do her little speech bit was great. Like that she just wants to say her name and they keep cutting her off. That cracked me out every time.
Crossbow killer. But yeah, I don't know. I have a lot. I'm looking at my notes. I have like a lot, but it's just annoying. The whole thing was annoying. I feel that I forget even what. Oh, McGregor's accent also was a little questionable. I felt he was doing that generic accent that British people do when they are trying to be American. It's very in the front. It's very in the nose. I'm Roman Sionis. Like you just like put it like up in the front to get rid of that palletization.
That was dope, though. That was dope.
And then he was crazy, I guess. Also, in the first time that we see him, is his mask fake? I know later it's real, but in the very first time you see it, it looked CGI'd. I was like, why did they do it this way? And like towards the beginning of the movie, when they have a flash of him in his like little freeze frame, like Suicide Squad-esque, like black mask, it looked CGI'd. Like it looked like a graphic that they put on. And because later in the movie they have him put it on, and it's very clearly an actual like a rubber or latex mask or something. But in that very first thing, I was like, you guys made the mask. Clearly.
I wonder if they like shot that and they were like, "Oh shit, we should have put him in the mask," and then like tried to CGI it over.
Yeah, that's what it looked like. And there was some bad effects. Like the hyena at one point was very clearly a CGI hyena. Some of the I know that by using
what do you mean
the
at
color,
one point, Caleb? The whole time it's a CGI. I could tell it was a CGI hyena the entire time. Like, how can you animate a hyena?
Obviously it's a
predators.
fake hyena, but I'm saying there was one moment that like it literally like smiled and chuckled and like laughed like a Looney Tune. And I was like, okay, you're not even going to pretend that this is like, it's, and the Hot Topic like color palette is like very clearly used to mask like subpar special effects in terms of like the explosion but I just can't, I don't know, it's really hard for me to excuse that stuff because like your budget is so high.
Were they trying to, do you think they were trying to hide the fact that they couldn't like get a good looking explosion, or it was just the style of the movie? Because they always that's what one of my things I liked was like the cartoony, like they set the tone at the very beginning with her kind of telling her story with the Joker and like her backstory and her exposition. Like, you know, I got a PhD, I started working at the asylum, fell in love with the Prince Clown of Death or whatever you call him, and we broke him out.
The Clown Prince of Crime. Josh.
There you go. Thank you. You know, I
You're
fell
welcome.
into a vat of like the chemicals to prove my love, but then he was an asshole.
Fell into a vat of melted Crayola crayons.
Also, do you think there's this weird moment when like you're Jared Leto or whatever, and you're like, I'm gonna watch my friend's movie, you know, because Margot, oh cool, and then you're watching and you're like, hey, that's fucking me. What the fuck? Like, do you think that moment happens? You're like, hey, why are you using my face? What the shit?
Wait, do you think
are
he
they
actually
friends?
says?
Didn't he send her a used condom? Like, I don't know if I would be friends with that guy.
I'm trying to give him the benefit of the doubt.
That's so
it's not giving him the benefit of anything. It's being like Margot Robbie being like, hey, you sent me a used condom. I don't want to talk to you.
Well,
Caleb and I had the same thought. We were like, wait, did he actually say my friend's movie? He probably watched it just to see, like, let's see what these fuckers did.
Yeah, that was all conjecture. I was building a scene, okay?
Sure.
Just trying to make it vivid for you guys. Did you guys see what happened with him, though? When he got back, like, when the pandemic hit, he was, like, off on some fucking retreat for, like, 2 weeks with no phone. So there's, like, he came back and didn't realize, it was like, is this real? What's happening?
The
whole world was shut down.
Has ended. It's like, wait, what? Everybody's that mad at me? Everybody's like, that upset?
It was just a rat. What are they talking about?
Why isn't anybody speaking to me? It wasn't that bad of a movie, was it? Yes, Jared, it was.
Now, that being said, there is something I want to say about Harley Quinn, and that is, regardless of the movie, if you guys haven't watched the Harley Quinn animated series on Adult Swim, it is absolutely hilarious. They've taken all of these characters, they made it full on an Adult Swim comedy. It makes me so happy watching it. It's like being a little kid and you're like, I cannot believe they're saying any of this. I can't believe they're doing any of this. And they have a stacked cast. Like, they have Jacob Tremblay playing Damian Wayne Robin. And everything he says is hilarious. Like, it's they're killing it.
Oscar nominee for The Room, Jacob Tremblay.
It's hilarious. It's very, very fun. It's a very fun watch.
That's something that I feel like they should have done. Like, I feel like that can work if you really go there and really commit to that kind of humor and that kind of comedy, where I feel like they didn't do that here. I feel like they did not, they tried to get a weird tone and it just did not work.
And exactly. And now when you watch this animated cartoon, you're like, oh, this is it. Like, this is what you need. Like, this is Harley Quinn. This is the world. It's just, they fully go for it and they stay in that world. Like, you watch it and it doesn't feel any different than like tonally or mature wise with the jokes, it's the same as like a Rick and Morty. That's the same, that's where they're at with the jokes and what they're doing. And they've given them access to like the entire like DC catalog. So they're bringing in characters from everywhere. It's hilarious.
It's on Adult Swim. I thought it was, I would have assumed it would have been on DC's, whatever their thing is.
I think it was originally, but that whole thing has been very weird. So I know it's also an Adult Swim show.
Speaking of, Brandon, do you think the DC streaming, do you think that's going to be on HBO Max with the Warner Brothers
that's
and
what
stuff?
I've read. Yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
cool.
It's all going to be, that's what I've read is it seems like it's all going to be mixed in. The problem being though, it seems like there's weird contract stuff. So I don't know. Like it seems like shows like Titans are in a weird place.
Well, I think it's like with the same as Disney Plus, where like they have to wait a certain amount of time before they can get all of their stuff on there because they had already lent it out or leased it to other services. So I think after a little bit, it'll all kind of come back to one place, but they have to like.
But like I know like for example like Swamp Thing, because there's lack of content. So like CW, and DC had already canceled Swamp Thing.
Yeah.
They had done 12 episodes or something. CW just picked it up to run the first season just because they need content, right? So they have to cut some of the episodes down because they're like an hour and a bit and whatever. But that's going up on CW as I think like September or some shit on that run. So we're just gonna have a lot of things like that, and especially with what's going on now, you might see even more of those shows start getting picked up. I mean, I just saw, what is it? The Doom Patrol, I think just popped up on Netflix in Canada.
Yeah, because it's on HBO Max here.
Yeah, Doom Patrol is getting like a second boost in popularity.
Right, yeah.
And so is Hannibal. I know this isn't DC, but really? That Mads Mikkelsen show where he played Hannibal Lecter, like apparently people are binging the fuck out of it, which is great because that show was always really underrated. He was amazing in that role.
Did you guys hear that? What's that?
No, you.
I was just gonna ask. Did he win an Emmy? But go ahead.
He was nominated. I don't know if he ever won.
I also got an email too because I have 2 Roku TVs, so they have it. They don't have HBO Max yet because they're still like reaching like a deal, like to get the channel on their streaming service. But HBO is discontinuing HBO Go effective July 31st next month.
Rip.
That makes sense.
So I'm interested as to, because everything's going on to HBO Max. And the reason I'm interested is because I have AT&T TV now that I pay for and get my TV through. That the reason I got HBO Max is because I get it free with my subscription to AT&T TV. And so I'm curious because obviously they'll still have the HBO channel. It'll be interesting to see if they get like, if I'm still able to do HBO Max, if I'm not allowed to do HBO Go. So
you got to assume that there's, everybody does that kind of at least free trial stuff. And, I got to imagine they're going to be the same.
Can we cycle back really quickly? Because you were talking about the Harley Quinn cartoon and you think that's like a great... The only version of the character I really know is from the animated series, like the Batman the Animated Series.
Yeah.
Which is, I think, that's where she's from. Like, they made her for that show.
That's the original. Yeah, that's where that was the inception.
I don't want to be one of those people that's like... Also, because I don't know the comics as much as you guys do. I'm not, like, as big of a comic person. So I never want to be the type of person that's like, well, in the comics it's this way, so it has to be this way. You're not allowed to reinterpret the characters. But I was watching, like, clips and old episodes of the show after watching this movie, and I really feel like... I genuinely feel like they totally didn't get what makes Harley Quinn Harley Quinn. Like, I think that I'm not going as far to say that Margot Robbie did a bad job. I think she's very clearly talented as an actress. She brings this character to life. She's able to be kind of this goofy person. But in the Batman the Animated Series, and I understand they're going for a different tone, but she really is clearly a victim of abuse. Like mental and physical abuse, and it's not insane. LOL, I'm so wacky, I'm so crazy. Like it's actually like very sad.
So, I completely agree with you, and I think I can help explain what's happening really well because you're right about everything you just said. So here's the thing: in Batman the Animated Series, when it was invented and the character was put out there, she was created as a counterpart to the Joker to help fill out that character, right? by making her a psychologist and a genius, who gets sucked in by the Joker and becomes the victim. That version of Harley Quinn that we see through that entire show, like you said, is a victim. And so we only see one side of that character. And that is just Harley Quinn as the Joker's whatever, Harley Quinn, I guess. And that was the starting point. And everybody loved that character, right? It was a huge, huge character. As the comics have gone on over the years, and both with this movie and the animated series, where we're at and where they both start is her leaving the Joker. So it's this notion of that's where Harley Quinn was, right? And she was this victim and this trapped person. Now we're exploring who she is without the Joker. And that's what both of these have been.
But I disagree with you that that's only the side that we got in that show, because a big part of that show is she does leave him and she like hangs out with Poison Ivy and they have their adventures. Like we get to see that too, but it's more like, I don't want to say believable because it's a fucking comic book, but it feels more like grounded in like an actual human psychology.
Right. So I think when you watch the new animated series, I think it's exactly what you're talking about. Like I think you'll be like, oh, this is it again. Like I think it's because also it's Kaylee Cuoco, and there's something about her doing the voice that does make it. I don't know. It's not the same character as Margot Robbie. It's very similar, but this one is grounded more in most of this show is her being best friends with Poison Ivy, and like the second season,
and that stuff could have been cool. Like I want to see that dynamic. I don't want to see her fucking dicking around with an egg sandwich and she's fucking running around.
That's what I'm saying.
Stupid.
Like this show is her trying to put like a team together, and everybody like there's this scene where she's in a bar and it's like the villain bar or whatever, and she's trying to get a team together. And Poison Ivy's like, nobody's gonna listen to you. Nobody wants like you to, and she's like, come on, I have a great plan. Everybody follow me, and everybody's like quiet. And then
well, maybe I don't know.
And he's like. But it's like the Kite Man runs in, he's like, guys, I have no plan. Let's go rob some stuff. And there's definitely going to be kites involved. And like everybody leaves with him, So it's like her trying to put together a team with like an actual plan, people being it's just a fucking great show.
That's great. But for this movie, I feel like none of that, like all of that gets shoved to the wayside in the service of like Harley being like, they really double down on her being like wacky and crazy. And I think that like, when they try to nuance it in of her having her little moments of like, I might remember how I'm a psychologist and I'm going to psychoanalyze you and this is your old, and it's like, it's not, no,
that's what I was just gonna say.
Totally missing the whole
because they do have that.
Yeah, but it's not done well. In my opinion, it's an excuse for the writing to be weird and quirky. It's like they tried to make her quirky. That's what it is. That's why I didn't like it. She tried to be quirky.
Yeah, and it is interesting,
and for me, it didn't work because this is like, and I know maybe I'm forgetting the actual Suicide Squad movie, and maybe they address it more there. But to like, your movie is called The Emancipation of Harley Quinn, right? And like to me, it's a missed opportunity to have that boil down to her throwing a necklace away and drop kicking a guy into the ocean, rather than like dealing with the psychology. Like addressing the psychology of an abuse victim whatsoever. Like that, just to not address it at all is like crazy.
I mean, yeah, it went towards like the classic, like, I'm just going to cry and throw knives at a wall and like put cheese whiz in my mouth, and like,
yeah, like a bad breakup instead of like, oh, this guy's like the most notorious evil villain in our universe. But whatever, maybe I'm asking for too much.
No. And that's the really interesting thing, and what I'm trying to get across here is exactly everything you're saying. Is I very much feel like is what makes the animated show work, because I think it is hitting all the tones that you're talking about, and I think that's why it's so good. Is that is what it's about. It's not just that happened now. It's Harley Quinn literally dealing with trying not to go back to the Joker and trying to be like, and they do it in a very comedic way and all that, but it is hitting on all of those things that you're talking about that weren't hit on exactly in the movie.
I feel like the movie did bring up some of those points. She did kind of mention like, she was essentially immune because the people were scared of the Joker, but then now that she isn't, if she broke up with the Joker, everybody's coming after her, but then, they definitely tried to make it more, I mean, it's for a movie, like it's for an hour and a half, people going to see this entertaining bit or whatever. We're very being hypercritical of a movie that doesn't take itself seriously, I don't think.
I would disagree with you. I think there are moments where it does take itself seriously. That's why it's tonally inconsistent, and I feel like you can't have it both ways.
Sure, but if you like for something fun like this, if the characters themselves don't take it seriously, you're talking about the filmmakers, yeah? When you say they took it seriously or not serious.
If your characters don't take anything seriously, there's no stakes in your movie. Why am I watching it? The best comedies have the highest stakes. I don't think that's a valid excuse. I think from the macro level, the filmmakers, there are these moments where all of a sudden things become very serious and somber. Harley Quinn's at the bar and she's talking to Black Canary, and then at the end, when like the Cassandra Cain is like, what does she fucking do? They're gonna turn her over, but then they're like, no, we're gonna band together because they're gonna come for all of us now, which is such a bullshit. Because no, what are you talking about? They only know that you.
What do you mean? That totally happened.
No, I get that. I think Brandon's just needling.
Yeah,
they banded together.
No, but it was kind of forced. Although there were some fun moments where, like with the mallet and the funhouse and the roller skates and stuff, like certain elements I feel, and like different nods to just like being a woman and being like, when did she have time to do a shoe change, or like Black Canary's having trouble with her hair and Harley Quinn's like, hair tie. Yeah, thanks. And she starts kicking people's asses while tying up her hair. Like that being pulled in with like the soundtrack of being all like about women, like Black Betty during the evidence room versus like Barracuda, like female rock singers. It's like I
felt like it was so fucking annoying and just so poorly used.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely didn't hit on all cylinders, but I also think that with this kind of movie, I don't go in expecting it to hit on all cylinders,
Yeah, also
I think that's just me. I'm not
great.
we know from their track record that DC has still yet to hit on all cylinders all the time and kind of find their thing. But with something like Suicide Squad going into this as like a kind of a forced sequel, because it was partly produced by Margot, like she helped kind of get this thing going. Because I'm sure being an actress to play that kind of character, of course I would put whatever I need to into it to make this movie.
Yeah, 100%.
It's a great paycheck.
I thought they did. It was a weird, like it was cool to kind of see like a full like a full woman cast. Trying to make that like a group thing. Putting those specific characters together, I wouldn't have done that, but I would have loved to maybe have seen like what you said, like a Poison Ivy, or like
here's my thing,
more
Josh,
villains,
like DC's,
not
the
heroes.
The DCEU thing, whatever you want to call it, I don't even know what they're calling themselves, but they've consistently been going for this to be directly antithetical to Marvel's thing, right? They're going for this sarcastic, nihilistic, this edgy tone. There's this very like cynical thing they're doing. And in my opinion, that totally clashes with like what you were saying. They're billing it as this like female empowerment. I'm using air quotes, centric thing. But then it's like those two things don't mix because like, they like team up, but they're like, yeah, fuck it, like whatever, let's go. It's just none of it is earnest and none of it feels like what are you saying? What's your message? Like what is the fantabulous emancipation? Like I don't understand what you want me to get out of this movie. Like that Harley Quinn doesn't need a boyfriend to be a criminal? Like okay, great. I'm glad that she got to go through that journey and learn nothing and get away with everything.
I'm wondering now, as we talk about this more, if we definitely should have brought in a female perspective for this conversation.
Yeah, I mean, but like, are we not allowed to have an opinion on this movie?
No, totally.
It's not my fault that the filmmakers are cynical
about it. No, that's what I'm saying. I'm just saying, as we're talking about it, I wish we had a female perspective. I'm interested. That's what I'm saying. Like,
but it's like the Ghostbusters thing, dude. I have such a hard time believing that somebody actually, like anyone that we know, would be like, yeah, this movie really spoke to my struggles as a woman. And
I don't think that's the same thing. I see what you're saying, but I don't think that's the same thing.
Okay, sure. What? Oh, the ending was annoying too. Like it totally. It's feeding into that.
Like the Black Max the Black Mask being blown up by a grenade.
It just feels like they went for shock value. It's like, we don't know how to end this. We wrote ourselves into a corner. And it feels like they just went for shock value, and there was nothing like thematically relevant in terms of how that situation was handled. I think they had an opportunity to actually, that would have been the moment to make your statement, but the problem is their artistic statement, because Harley Quinn in their eyes is just fucking crazy, that's the only thing they can do, is just have him blow up. And then she's like, okay, well, that's done. Let's all go fucking get margaritas, and I'm gonna steal the car. It's just
shawarma
like, oh my god,
shawarma.
It was a waste. It was a waste. It was just a waste of 2 hours, wasted opportunities. Nothing felt inspired. Nothing felt like that whole Marilyn Monroe thing in the middle. It's like that they so clearly had no idea what they were going to do with that footage while they were shooting it, and then they just they threw it in the middle of the fucking
Marilyn Monroe thing. Which
you don't even remember
where she's getting like torture. She's tied up by the Black
Mask.
And she like has this
right,
like
got it. Yeah.
Ewan McGregor like punches her in the face, and then she has this vision, I guess. Also, that was dumb. That was contrived. Like, he would have killed her. And then he's like, no, fine, go find my diamond, but then I'm going to send all these mercenary... It's just like, oh, what are we going to do? They just wrote themselves into a corner. They wrote 1.5 drafts, and they just kept going.
I liked the cocaine fight scene.
Yeah, they didn't do PDU. They didn't do PDW.
No, the cocaine fight scene, Brandon, I thought, like, those are the elements that they're... Like, for me, like you said, it was fun. It was the mixture of with the mallet, the fact that there's a chainsaw, a gun, or whatever, and she chooses a bat, and she just fucks their shit up. Like, that was fun. The mallet at the funhouse, like, again, in non-conventional weapons that you would think like anybody else would use, she would go for the more, quirky, like kind of what Caleb said earlier, quirky. She was just kind of, So yeah, as a movie, as a standalone movie, it doesn't. It's like, but I did like it the second time I watched it, though. Because I remember in the theater that the episodic kind of flashback stuff, I definitely felt like, whoa, what is going on? Just tell the story. Because I also
tell the story however I want.
Thank you.
It's so stupid.
I also think...
Should we rate this bad boy?
Sorry, Brandon, real quick. I also think that it didn't help them that they tried to pair it with Birds of Prey. I think if they stuck with a Harley Quinn thing with like even some of the B level, or like even bringing Poison Ivy, and I think that would have been like what you guys were saying with the animated series, more of a thing, having that relationship between her breaking up with the Joker and Poison Ivy being like, no, come, because people are gonna fuck your shit up. You can still have Black Mask in there because he's that level of a villain as well, to be a villain to a villain, I guess. But I definitely feel that bringing in Birds of Prey is such a thing, because now you have 3 other characters that you had to tell their stories from 0 to 6, like to fill everybody in one little short movie. That if you were just stuck with the Harley Quinn stuff, I think that would have helped them out a bit. Yeah,
and I mean, even with their opening weekend and stuff, because it was called originally Birds of Prey, and
they had to change the name.
They had to change it because people were going to the theater and like, "Where's the Harley Quinn movie?" And like nobody was going to see it because it said Birds of Prey. Nobody knew what the fuck it was.
God, that's
which is
so
insane,
awesome.
By the way.
I love that.
But
that's so great,
hilarious. Like they changed all the marquees to say Harley Quinn.
Yeah, nobody gave a shit about their movie.
Yeah,
right. People just wanted to see Harley Quinn. I just wanted to see Harley Quinn.
Yeah, who cares if it's good? Just want to see it.
Totally. So yeah, I mean that's all. I don't think I have anything else.
Did I have anything else?
We're getting to a long podcast here, boys.
Well, there's so much to talk about.
It's a good movie. That's why.
Wow.
I guess the only other thing that I had to say, I just didn't think the humor landed ever, but we kind of already covered that. I laughed like twice, but whatever. Brandon already spoiled what I think. I gave it a 2 out of 5.
I'm gonna give it No, go ahead, Brandon. What?
Not only that, and not just for the podcast, he gave it like an official what was it on? Like IMDb or whatever, like to make sure it was an official 2 stars.
I screenshotted my Letterboxd rating and I sent it over to them in the group chat, being like, looking forward to the discussion.
That's the other thing, is that Caleb is an actual like movie reviewer.
Right. He actually he does this.
Yeah,
quite a
like
bit.
professionally. So
On
you know,
filmreviewdaily.com, you can check out my
ratings-
1-star review of Capone.
you should probably start plugging that. Actually, I just realized
Sure.
that. Yeah.
Filmreviewdaily.com. I have a 1-star review of Capone. It's funny. Go read it. That movie was shitty.
Yeah, I haven't heard good things. I think we talked about it a couple podcasts ago, but
Yeah, it's fine. But no, sorry, 2 out of 5 for me.
I'm gonna give it because we're subjective. Stars. I'll go with 3.5 because I did think it was fun the second time.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it the same. I mean, I definitely agree with a lot of points that you guys brought up. I when I watched it, it was definitely just I'm gonna try to enjoy it as much as possible. But you're not wrong, and especially given it, like looking at it against other movies that we've rated. Yeah, I'll give it a 3.5 as well, just because I enjoyed it.
Cool.
All right.
Caleb.
All right. Better than Winter's Bone, I guess. What? Oh, is it my turn? Shit. Okay. Sorry, I fucking forgot.
Female director.
I'm gonna have us take a trip across the sea to France. We're gonna watch a film called White Material from I think 2009 or 2010 by Claire Denis, one of the most celebrated female directors in Europe.
This is light material.
White
material.
White material. It's available on the Criterion channel, Brandon, so we can watch it there.
Awesome.
Josh, I don't know where else it is, but
I can see if
you can rent it.
Is it in French?
It is in French.
Subtitles.
Ça c'est bien, je parle le français.
Oui.
Oh, you're in Canada, so you speak Canadian French, so you can follow along.
Well, I can try. I used to be fluent in French when I was a kid, and then, I'm an idiot, so what away.
Got hit one too many times on the hockey rink.
Yeah, and then boxing, so like doubled up on the hit in the head.
Yeah, I think it will be an interesting movie given what's been happening in the world the past couple months. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoy it.
What year is it?
What year is it now? It's 2020.
Sorry, getting hit in the head. No, but what year is the...
No, I know. It was either 2009 or 2010.
Okay, so more recent.
Yeah, more recent.
Yeah, legit.
I wanted to do Beau Travail, which is another film by this filmmaker, but it got a Criterion channel release, but it's not available streaming anywhere. So we'll do White Material instead, and I think that it'll be very interesting. I hope you guys enjoy it.
I'm very excited about that. That sounds super dope. I would implore both of you to watch Mythic Quest if you haven't watched it yet.
I've watched the first... Okay, hold on. I forgot to bring this up. I watched the first 2 episodes, and it's funny because Ryan and I were both like, what? And then we read the reviews on it, and every single person's like, just get past the first 2 episodes.
Yep.
Episode 3, episode 4, it starts getting its stride, and it ends up being a great show.
Amazing.
But just get past the first 2 episodes. And I think that's hilarious because it's, when you first watch it, you're like, why am I watching The Office in a video game developer scenario? Like,
oh, God.
I don't really care. Like, why do we need this? But then it'll get better. I hear. So we'll see.
And here's the thing. And the magic of it really has become Rob McElhenney, and he finds these moments for the character, and it pulls and he is that good. I mean, he pulls it all together, and it becomes very vulnerable, very real. They did a really good job. I would implore you both to watch it. I would love to know your thoughts on it.
I'll stick it out and keep watching it. So.
Yeah. And then they did,
I guess if Josh is, I'll do it too.
They did the quarantine episode. And there's a moment in that I thought was just unbelievably
Yeah, they said
beautiful.
like it was like episode 5 or what? It was like a different kind
episode.
of. It's like
episode
you take
5
it away.
has nothing to do with anything else. It's its own like short film, and it's one of the. And I've said this before. It moved me thoroughly. It was one of the most beautiful 30-minute pieces I've seen.
Yeah.
I loved it. It's Jake Johnson and I don't know her name, but the girl who was the mother in How I Met Your Mother.
Oh God.
The one who turned out to be the
tell me.
actual mom.
Kristen Milioti.
Yeah.
That's
so
her
it's
name.
the 2 of them, and they are fantastic. It's beautiful. I would definitely watch
Murray Abrahams in this show.
Wait, is that the old guy?
Ashley Birch is in this show? Oh my gosh.
Dude, it's a really good show, man. It's a really, really good show.
All right, so here's the problem.
Slow, but it gets there.
I do not have Apple TV, but I will do my best. I was watching
it on Putlocker because I also don't have Apple TV.
All right.
I probably shouldn't have said that on a podcast.
Brandon condones piracy officially.
As I'm saying, everybody watch this movie, watch this show. It's
if anybody's listening, he's actually wearing a hoodie and he's in the movie theater and has that, RC.
Brandon's the one who's stealing the things and putting it online.
I got 2 Apple accounts just because I felt bad about using BitLocker before, so I'm paying extra money.
Oh, you're paying double.
Paying double because I felt bad. I just want
Wow.
Yeah. All right, boys. I'll find it. This was a long one. This was good.
Yeah. Good combo.
Cool, Brandon. Do you want to sign us off?
Have anything else to say? Yeah, Brandon, sign us away.
No. All right, boys. Thank you for having this conversation about Harley Quinn and the Birds of Prey and her emancipation or whatever else it was called.
The fantabulous emancipation.
Awesome. Even better. It was a fun conversation. I definitely enjoyed it. We got our ratings. Next week, we'll be talking about, Caleb?
White Material.
White Material, a French movie from either 2009 or 2010. So please join us for that. Hit us up on Instagram or Reddit or YouTube with any questions or comments or movies you want us to watch. That's about it. Enjoy the weekend, everybody, and we'll see you guys on Thursday.